Well, I'm going to try this all over again. Late 92 of June, I spent 2 weeks on the Appalachian Trail. Freezing, well, that's summer, so starving and in the hot sun is it. I went up to Lambert's Meadow Shelter just to have a place to be, to sleep. No food, long way up in the hot sun. I ate food that was left by some of the hikers a little bit. It was food you get in the Army in the Iraq war back in 92 or the aftermath. U.S. rations. So there were a few of those. After 2 weeks, I had to come back down. I was in the hot sun walking to Charlottesville, Virginia, where there was a Salvation Army shelter. You could stay a couple of nights. I'm in the hot, hot sun. Finally, when I've walked and nobody stopped to help me, state trooper's car was parked at the intersection coming out from Scottsville into the road that I'm on leading in Charlottesville. Scottsville is where Anastasia's and her husband, Professor Monahan, had a farm that, by the way, was taken illegally from them after she was killed by the Blue Ridge Mental Health, March the 4th of 84. And it was Anastasia. And she was treated like garbage and tortured using the mental health, too, to take down Czar Nicholas, who's related to me. Also. Anyway, the state trooper, to be honest with you, I know he carried me on into the Salvation Army. I think he did. Dropped me off there, and while I was there, I did find a job at Howard Johnson near the college, University of Virginia, and waitressing. And the one thing I want to say, it was rough. I had no clothes. I've always had to beg for shoes, etc., etc., to try to work and get a place to live. Focused on a place to live when I should live in Buckingham Palace. One day while I'm working there, I went to the table and it was British. It was a mother, father, son, daughter, and a grandchild, and I believe probably the in-laws. The thing I'm saying is it was nice to see a friendly smile that was caring and didn't hate my guts because of, well, anyway. When I turned to walk away with the order, to get their order, I'd taken it. Their young son, who was about 3.5 to 4, was sitting in a booster seat, or the grandson, and he smiled, and I'm not going to say his name, but yes, I remember it very well. He looked at me, and I know he's heard them say it, and probably was told to say it, but he turned around at me, and he said, you're Our Lady. And I cried. I couldn't come back to the table. It meant so much to me. Now then, the New World Order kidnapped me in 41. Kennedy's, Bilderbergers, Rothschilds, my Uncle George, the six illegal. I will say this, I was up on the trail. I came here in Roanoke in October of 86. I slept on the Appalachian Trail. I froze. I starved. Most people couldn't have survived without tent at times, without anything to cover up with. Everybody knew it, and they watched it, and they just wanted me gone. I'll say this. When Diana died, There was a gentleman came up with a backpack. He wasn't a backpacker, but I assumed he was with some government agency, but he stayed for the week, and she died that day, or the day before, and as he left, he looked at me and said, if you're able to go home, at least you won't have to deal with her. I shouldn't have to deal with her. Um, Say this I kept this picture for a long time. Henry Kissinger of the Watergate and the 18-minute gap at a party where Diana was giving away in charity and dresses and all this. Well, I'm here in Roanoke, living in hell. They're giving away my money to charity. Makes them look good. Not to me, it doesn't. They're a pack of thieves. He shook her hand. I had that picture and I kept it. I don't have it now. Where he is shaking hands with her and saying, you should be the queen. Now then, I want to try to jump to this. Lady Diana. What makes you a lady? Living off of my money in hell. And I want to say this, and I'm reading it. Normally I don't. I said that. Since when did inherited right to become a monarch leader of the Brits become up for grabs, to be determined by the Jews or any other group? Now I want to go to this. In 1962 to 65, Hyman Miller, a Jew psychiatrist killer from New York who was married to a German Jew, was in Huntsville. There weren't many doctors there. I had my two sons and thought I was having depression. I went to him, and instead of coming out in one piece, I was given psychotic drugs over a long period of time. I was given shock, quote, therapy, which is torture if it were done to anybody else and illegal. It was done to torture me, to discredit me. And my husband, I found out later, was with CIA. So I was taken there on a weekly basis, sometimes twice, to get my brain basted. His anesthesiologist that put me to sleep was Dr. Berg, another Jew. Her husband was a Jew, doctor there in Huntsville. Excuse me on the pun on Jews. What makes it right for them to do this to me? Or anybody do this to me? Now then, there was at the Redstone Arsenal Army Base with the command center and NASA, and hey, that's where they took me, Moulton, Alabama in 41. I'm a hostage. How do you think they created NASA? They brought in Von Braun, a beautiful man. They brought in science and technology that was paid for by my family and the Brits and the Germans. They even changed the name of Cape Canaveral to Cape Kennedy after the killers. Victor Gonzalez came there from Dallas, Texas, Parkland. He was there when John Kennedy was taken in. So now he's at Redstone. He's a child psychiatrist. And just before my husband moved over, that we moved over, he moved over, my husband, he was working for Lockheed Marietta, Gonzalez went ahead of me. My husband took me to his waiting arms to be tortured for 7 friggin' years, given shock after shock, psychotic drugs. Boy, a background check wouldn't work for me, would it? Can't even say my real name. 7 years torture. Acceptable torture by everyone. 77, 78, while living at Moonlake Apartments, Delk Road, Marietta, I wrote a medical malpractice. MD, a license to kill. Moonraker movie came out, 007 with Roger Moore, just a little later, so the Brits backed me up the best they could. Well, I think that's doing pretty good under the circumstances. A License to Kill with Timothy Dalton, which was part of my book. Now, this is after I lived there and did the book. Larry Flint was shot March the 6th in Lawrenceville. The person programmed to shoot him. I was writing about mind control and programming, and I was writing about the fact that, and I had listened names, of the fact that you can cure an illness or you can create it. And that's part of the reason that Warren and Rosina Matthews were killed. They were forensic pathologists at Piedmont Hospital, where Larry McDonald, the doctor, U.S. congressman, that I wrote about was. His plane went down in '83, August the 31st. And I was flown to Flint, and Flint's home during that campaign and learned about kidnapping. And yes, the Brits have told me. June the 23rd, though, of '79, I got a letter from U.S. Attorney Harper, and it was of an ongoing investigation, national security involved. Now, if you told about my kidnapping and all this, there wouldn't be any imagery of goodness left for the United States. The truth, the truth is the truth. So national security is like a double meaning. They were involved in my kidnapping. This whole friggin' thing was, and national security would go down the tube. Now then, I'm better off when I'm not trying to read from it. That was July the 23rd of '79. April the 1st of '80, I was still full of antifreeze. April Fool's joke by the Americans. You should hear the rest of it. Their jokes, the Jews that did it to my sons, who are the heirs after me. See if you think it's so funny if it was done to your children. Should have gone into a coma and died, and that was a fiasco. Went for a tox screen. I was switched from one to the other, across the state line. Finally, in May, I went to work for the district attorney, Fred Simpson. And here you get Simpson is associated with Wallace Simpson, who was supposed to have married the King of England, and he abdicated and became the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, which was a lie. This is my dad. The real King Edward VIII, not the imposter, married to Claudia Rousseau Key. His own brother, George, illegal monarch, part of the New World Order with Elizabeth, illegal treaties that allowed the Americans to put their places all over British soil, hold them hostage, as they hold me hostage here. Now, this is Lizzie. I can't even say my name, and I've been tortured. And, hey, during the Virginia Tech shooting, she was paid by the state of Virginia to come here. I'm living in hell. I don't have a change of clothing or food. And I'm trying to tell people about the Virginia Tech shootings and programming, and there's a whole bunch that went on there, not just later the psychiatrist that was born here in the Fort Hood shootings. He was born in Roanoke, went to school in Virginia Tech. So there's a whole bunch there. But hey, she's got the money. This is an acceptable crime. Only if you don't show the whole story and embarrass, and I'll leave it at that. They paid her while they're denying me every right in the book, even every human right. Now here's this cute little thing up for ambassadorship. Caroline Kennedy. Got it with Obama. Now then, these are supposed to be the soul of respectability, and this man is garbage, they say. I beg to differ. He spent time in Butner for telling the truth. That's what you get for telling the truth. They tortured him, took his power of attorney. You tell me. Okay, I've been filled full of antifreeze, working for the DA. This is the Navy. And the DA, and I'm going to probably have to stop in a minute. I have to pick it up.